Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 175 of the Civil Gore podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And this is Brian. And this is Brian. Oh, wait. It's Groundhog's Day. No, it's a day after Groundhog's Day, actually, isn't it? But then again, I know this is kind of a worn-out joke, but seriously, though, I think this, for the past year, it's been like the same. A lot of it's been the same day every day.
It kind of feels that way. Yeah, it kind of feels that way. This work, that tells you how tired I am. This week at work has been utterly insane. So both Brian and I are fairly low energy this episode.
Yeah, I'm hoping the magic will kick in somewhere in there. I am drinking a good new beer that I have. It's by Modest Brewing Company. Actually, you would need to get this one for Olivia because I know she's a big stout person. It's a peanut butter cup coffee stout.
Oh, now she would like that. 'Cause she loves coffee stouts.
Yeah, and this one it's like delicious. It's like not too thick, but it's just got that really good like coffee flavor, and with the hint of the peanut butter cup in there, so it's really good.
Nice. Yeah, I had another one of your favorite breweries that you discovered, and you and Julie when you were down here, Brian, which was New Anthem, and I had their Radical Sun.
Nice. Yeah, I was lucky. I was so funny. My brother is doing this. The whole was ordering from one of our local breweries out of Brooklyn called Threes. Well, they just recently, all of a sudden, out of the blue, kind of just opened up in Long Island as a location too. So I get like now beer delivery direct from the brewery for free.
Oh, that's awesome.
As long as you order $50 or more, which is not a problem. You get they'll literally like, and since we're on Long Island, it's not a shipped, it's literally delivered. Like the lady, and like they text you and everything. She's like, "Hey, this is so and so from Threes. I'm on my way," and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing ever!" So I ordered a whole bunch of beer because we were getting low, and it was great. Like I think because just for signing up, I got $10 off. Which of course I put right towards the gratuity anyway, but because I want to make sure I help out. They're a good local brewery, but they also have other stuff, which is good. Which is where I got this. I guess this was their local special. Was this Modest, and it's out of Minneapolis, but I guess they have depending on which Threes location you order from, they have kind of like exclusives from other breweries, which is good. So I got that, but they also sell the good ones around here from like Other Half and Finback, which are some other local breweries from New York. So. Really cool stuff. So, yeah, now we're stocked of beer. Now, knowing that I could literally get it in a couple of days by just going online, and they'll come and hand deliver it to me, which is excellent. And they have good COVID protocol, too. They call, and they make sure that they won't enter your building. They'll meet you outside, and they'll leave it on a thing if you need it. So it's really cool.
That's awesome. I wish we had something like that around here, but I don't think we do. I know you can do like curbside for some of the breweries here. You can order and go pick it up, but I don't know of any deliveries.
Yeah, not that I want many things from the whole COVID pandemic to stay, but this whole alcohol delivery thing that's really have been ramped up. Like, why did it take this to get this? Yes. I don't understand. This should have always been a thing. I mean, yes, I know you can get delivery from liquor stores sometimes if you order not, but like now it's like every place in New York you can almost get everything or. Everything
it needs to be like the milkman used to be. He just comes every week.
Yeah, and you leave his empties. He takes all your empty beers and he gives you brand new ones.
Yeah, I would be down for that.
That's now you've just come up with the golden idea, Tim. You need to make a Civil Gore stamp of approval though on it. Like it's gotta be like Civil Gore's like we gets credit.
Trademark. Yeah. All right, well let's get right into it, guys. This is our first chop. All right, Brian, it looks like we both watched quite a few things this week. I was inspired by the FANGORIA Chainsaw Awards, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit.
Plus, we have like 30 screeners we need to get through,
yes,
which is awesome. We're not complaining because there's some really good ones in there. And a lot of the good, nice PR reps from Shudder and some other places are just so awesome to us. They're just the coolest people. And they'll just send us stuff that they think we'll like, which is awesome.
Yeah, I love that part of the podcast that we reached a level where we get screeners just sent to us, and I'm always surprised by what we we get, and we always get some really cool stuff. I mean, that's a great perk of the podcast. I know we don't get paid, we don't get monetary value or anything, but getting to see like Shudder exclusives and stuff before anybody else, that is a really cool perk.
Yeah, and it's even gone beyond Shudder. Like we get some like a lot of stuff from like Lionsgate now and Dark Sky Films and all some really cool. And how awesome are the PR people? You know,
they're
like,
all great.
Like
they're all
Stacey and
fantastic.
Brianna, they're all so nice. They just always send us stuff, and like they're so cordial and just friendly. And it's like I feel like we know them even though we don't know them. Oh, and Kayla, of course. Kayla sends us stuff. So yeah, we get thank you to everybody, although at Shudder and at the other PR firm. So
yeah, y'all guys are wonderful. All right, so Brian, I will start, and I guess we'll just alternate because we both watched 3 films this week. So the first one up was one I had been dying to see because of all the hype around it, and that was The Dark and the Wicked. And this one did not let me down. This is as you might expect from the trailer, it has kind of that slow burn feel to it that you would kind of expect from maybe The Witch or something like that. However, I would argue that this is not a slow burn film. It has the feel of it. It has the atmosphere of it. It has kind of the plot line of it. But things happen at a fairly steady pace in this movie. And that's what was surprising about it to me. I was kind of settled in for like a very long, slow build-up. But there's things happening quite a bit. There's a lot of jump scares, a lot of really creepy sequences, and it still has that build to a nice climax. So I was thoroughly impressed with this one. I thought it was super creepy, super well done, super scary, and I would highly recommend it to anyone. I had seen some criticisms that it was a little slow, and I don't know where they're coming from with that. I did not think this was slow at all. It has the feel of it. It's kind of tricky. Kind of makes you think it's going to be one of those movies, but I don't think it is at all. It starts off with a bang and ends with a bang.
Yeah, that's actually one of the next one I was going to watch. I just didn't get a chance yet over the weekend. But one of the ones I watched, this was a Shudder screener, so I think this is coming to Shudder in a couple of weeks. But I think by the time we release this, the embargo is over on it, so we can discuss it a little. I'm not going to go into too many spoilers, obviously. Well, I'm not going to go into any spoilers for this, but the movie called Shook. It's kind of goes one of those horror movies where they basically are making kind of like a social commentary a little bit, I think, on the whole internet influencer kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where like, but you know it. And the movie, I mean, the movie was done fairly well, you know, but it's like that. I feel like I've seen the kind of somewhat of the, the premise before where, you know, like an internet influencer is forced to do a bunch of things while like certain, streamers are watching and stuff. And this one, although this one tried to make it had a, some other messages there and 2 minute, but it had a lot of twists and turns. And I don't know, this is not a knock on the film. I just think I've seen so many. We've seen so many films, I kind of, knew what was coming, but the performances in it were actually really good, so it definitely held my interest anyway. Really good cast. I will warn, there's a little, the opening premise is basically based off of they're looking for a, and this was great because Obi was literally watching it with me at some level, sitting down. It was like about a crazed dog killer that's out there. So I'm like, I was like, Obi, that for one of your first horror movies you're watching with me, I don't know if you should watch this. Turn away. So, but yeah, no, but it wasn't bad. It's definitely not a bad movie. It's just, I think, the whole social media influencer angle has been done, but not in the way they do it in this. So much, if that makes sense. And it's hard to say that without giving away specifics, which I don't want to give away, or, because there are a lot of twists and turns. Whether, an astute viewer who's seen a lot of horror movies probably will, not be totally surprised, but still, it's still like a good enough twists and turns to keep you interested. And like I said, the cast is really well done, and
Nice.
really well picked, I should say. They do a really good job, and they're all in, which is always a plus, as we've said in the past.
Nice. Next up on my list was a Blu-ray that I recently bought, and just happened to be one of the Chainsaw Award nominees, and that was Gretel and Hansel. This is one I really wanted to see when it came out in the theater, because I like twisted takes on fairy tale type things. But the one thing I'm always concerned about when they adapt a fairy tale to a movie is that it's largely going to be filler, because fairy tales are typically very short. So you expect maybe they're just going to use a lot of filler and fluff to try to pad it out. But I thought they did a really good job in this one, expanding the lore of the story, and really the fairy tale is more of a just a kernel of an idea that they build the movie around. It's not trying to be like a faithful adaptation of the story or anything like that. So I thought they did a great job just kind of taking that core concept and then building another movie around it. Very atmospheric, very gloomy. It stars Sophia Lillis from It, who played Beverly Marsh, so she's fantastic in it. And so yeah, I enjoyed this one quite a bit. It's I
think it's on Hulu too now, right?
Yeah, it just came out on Hulu, and so it's one that is easy to get a hold of and watch. And I don't know, it wasn't like it didn't blow me out of the water by any means, but I thought it was a good, solid, dark, twisted fairy tale movie. That's how I'd rate it. I would say it's solid. It's got some neat atmosphere. It's got some very extremely creepy scenes, and I thought it did a good job of kind of expanding the lore around the fairy tale.
Yeah, and I heard the creators, their next one is Hyde and Jekyll. It's called.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the next one I saw, and I hope I don't give anyone a sense of disappointment with this, but this could already be one of my favorites of the year.
Wow.
This movie I've seen. I know. I think I'm not sure when it actually came out, but it's coming to Shudder, and that's After Midnight. I told Tim, I said, I was watching it, and about a little bit in, I said, I'm not really sure what's going on in this movie, but I am loving every second of it. And this was just so well done, and the cast is like, it really, I have to say, is like perfection in it. It's so good. Basically, I'll just give you the premise, though. The premise is this guy who, I guess his girlfriend decides to leave him. And so from now on, for some reason, a creature every night comes ever since she left. And the creature, he can't tell what kind of creature it is. I guess his would-be brother-in-law, if he would have married this girl, is the sheriff in town, and he just thinks she's crazy. And no one believes him, except one of his best friends kind of buys in on him, but he's always drinking, so who knows? So it's like, but it's like very heavy dialogue and what some might call a slow burn, but I think it's just so interesting. It's such a unique premise, very like artsy in a way, but like not at the same time. It's just I don't know what it is, Tim, but I can almost guarantee that this will be one of your favorites too.
Nice.
It's such a fun movie, and the leads in it are excellent. And there's a lot of good like little comedy bits in it, because the premise, if you think about it, is very silly, right? Girl leaves the guy, and then all of a sudden this creature starts appearing, and it's to the point where he literally sets up his house. So he's got this weird house that kind of like, they even joke about it. It almost looks like the house from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but like it's weird. Is like the main room he's got has like two doors to it, like it's like one goes right to the back, one goes right to the front, but he always like basically camps out there with his back to the front door because of the creature coming, and he sits there with a shotgun all night. But I'm probably not even describing it well, but just the in terms of like what I love about it, but I want people to discover it themselves. I just know that this is going to be, or it's already going to be, one of my favorites of the year. It's that good and that fun. So yeah,
right,
it's called After Midnight. I think it comes to Shudder in a couple of weeks. So
sweet. That's probably going to be next on my list then. The last one I watched this week was Underwater, which was the Kristin Stewart vehicle.
Now you didn't watch it underwater, right? You watched it.
No, I watched
above sea level, right? Okay.
Yeah, I watched Underwater, Above Water.
Okay.
But yeah, this one is this is an Alien clone. It's an Alien clone. I don't know what else to tell you. You could have literally, if you took screenshots of this movie and didn't tell me any better, I would say it's a space movie. But we talked about that a while back, how space movies and underwater movies are essentially the same thing, right?
Right.
And this one looks so much like Alien, kind of the same plot. So Kristin Stewart she works in this drilling base, this underwater drilling base, and something breaches the hull, and then it's just one disaster after another. And I'll leave the what's causing the breaches up to the viewer. I won't spoil that for you. But this is an Alien clone. That doesn't mean it's a bad movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I love underwater stuff. I love Alien. And so more Alien underwater is fine with me. Depends on your tolerance for whether you have to have something original. I thought it was a lot of fun. I would have loved to seen this in the theater. But don't go in expecting something brand new. This is absolutely 100% an Alien clone. And I was fine with that. I was okay with that. I had a good time with it.
All right. The final one I saw, this has been on Netflix, and I've been dying to see it for some time. And Julie and I wanted to watch a movie, and she was, so she kind of said, let's watch something horror. And I said, oh, okay, well, let's. So I immediately went to my Fangoria list, see if I can knock one of those off. And then we settled on His House, which you saw this, right, Tim?
No, not yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it. Oh, okay. So this one, it's been on Netflix. I wanted to see it for some time. It was about these refugees, husband and wife. They escape from South Sudan, and they narrowly make it because I guess they have the boat tips over they're on and anything, and they make it through, and they're held in like this detention center. But the service, what they do is they basically after a while you get picked and you get sent to a house. Completely, you don't, it's all paid for. They give you a little allotment, and I guess if you stay there and you become a good citizen for a certain amount of time, then you're free to go. And there's a whole bunch of rules and everything. But this guy, they kind of find that this house is not all that it cracks up to be, and they're being like basically haunted by these spirits. And as the not to go into it in detail, but as the film builds, it gets worse, and you find out what's going on, and it's just so well done. And this is up for number of Fangoria Awards, and deservedly so, as this is another one that is probably going to be one of my favorites of the year already. It's that good, and the lead cast, the leads in it are just incredible. So that's definitely one I highly recommend. I think Kim and Ket did this as an episode, and I had to actually pause their episodes because they're watching movies that I haven't seen yet, so I had to wait a little bit.
Yeah, that's how I am. They've been watching some ones that I've really, really wanted to see. And typically, if it's a movie that I'm not, maybe it's a few years old and I didn't catch it, I'll go ahead and listen to the episode. But when it's one like Freaky or something that I haven't seen yet, that's very recent, I just have to skip their episode, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, so they did Freaky and they did this one. So now that at least I can listen to this episode. But I think Freaky comes out next week on demand. So I'll be able to catch it. Or is it this week? No, it's next week. It comes out on demand, so I may just rent it. I'm gonna buy it anyway, but I may just rent it early so I can watch it before the chainsaws. So definitely recommend His House. I mean, I recommend all three that I watched, but I think probably After Midnight probably is definitely my favorite of the three, just by a hair over His House. So definitely had a good weekend of movies, it sounds like, for both of us, which is awesome.
Yeah. Out of my three, definitely The Dark and the Wicked would be my top pick, and I will have to say it is incredibly, incredibly dark. I did not mention that before, but man, don't go into this one expecting to come out feeling happy. It's a very dark movie, but that's what made it so great. So anyway, I did want to mention one thing that's not on the rundown that Brian already knows about, and that is we finally caved and let Joshua watch his first horror movie. Woohoo! And he has been begging and begging and begging to watch a scary movie. He had begged last night to watch one, and I said, okay, you know what, fine. He wanted to watch Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which that would have been perfectly fine with me.
And we left that off our list, which was funny. I totally forgot about that one.
But unfortunately, I couldn't find it to rent cheaply, so because it wasn't streaming on any of my services. So I was like, I don't really want to pay money, Joshua, because knowing him, you never know if he might sit down and watch a 3-hour movie, or he might give up within 20 minutes and go do something else. So you never know. I didn't want to spend any money on it. But we came across Maximum Overdrive. Now I know this is not a kids movie. Uncle
Kevin would be very happy for that one.
I know it's not a kids movie, but I was like, you know what? From a gore perspective, it's not that bad. It's got cussing, but he watches movies with cussing. He knows not to say those words. So I'm never too concerned about profanity. And the sexual content in this one is very minimal. I think there's one little scene.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give him a shot. And then I'm going to tell him, this was filmed in Wilmington and all the stories around that. And I got to watch the scene filmed. And, this
and your grandfather's place was in there.
Yeah.
Like,
so it had some, some local history and stuff. And he was very interested in that. So we started watching it. And I'll tell you the funniest thing about it. He loved it, by the way. Absolutely loved it. But the thing that was funny about it was how serious he took it. Because, me and you have seen this movie countless times. And we laugh at how silly it is and how campy it is. But to him, this was serious. This is his first horror movie. He was very involved in the story, and he was very captivated by everything. And like when the electric knife jumps up and cuts the lady, he covered his eyes. He was he was freaked out, and then he was like, he would turn to me and go, "Daddy, that truck doesn't have anybody driving. It's driving by itself. Oh no, it's it could hit that. It might run over that person." And then when he was like showing all this concern over the kids and like, "Oh my gosh, Daddy, the drink machine's like shooting drinks out. It could hurt one of those children."
Oh my god, that's great.
And I'm over sitting here like trying to die and not to laugh because I'm sitting there how silly this movie is, but he is just like so like engrossed in it, and I thought it was wonderful. And he had a great time. He handled it fine, no nightmares, no nothing. He thought it was fantastic, and then he felt really proud of himself that he had done his first horror movie. So now Anna's seen Annabelle Creation, and Joshua has seen Maximum Overdrive. They've both been indoctrinated into the horror movie thing. We're still very choosy about what we're going to let them watch. They're not throwing them in the deep end yet, but they did get their first horror movie cred, so they're very excited about that.
Nice. And actually, that's a perfect segue, Tim, into the next thing, which is, speaking of horror for kids, I happen to have in my hand, I ordered it right away because I needed to have this, which is A Legend of Halloween, which is a telling of John Carpenter's original classic Halloween, written by David Gordon Green and owner Tuchel. I'm not sure how to say his last name, but anyway, and it's done as if it was a children's book, big hardbound, like Dr. Seuss kind of like.
That's awesome.
Size and everything, and it's done by with like in total like with children book animation, and so this is great. Not to like obviously I don't want to spoil this because I want everyone to go out and purchase it. I know there's a limited run, so if you want it, I would probably go quick because I don't know if the first batch I signed up for to get an alert when it went on sale. So as soon as it went on, I literally ordered it. It was there in 2 days. But I'll just read to you an excerpt. I think that's legal, right? I can probably read an excerpt.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it's for review purposes, and I highly recommend it. So I don't think David Gordon Green would mind. But I'll just give you the start of this. So it's like the first picture of it is like a nice like cartoon version of Haddonfield like sitting there with everyone getting ready for Halloween, a couple of trick-or-treaters, and it says, "There is a town called Haddonfield. Some folks say it's cursed. It started many years ago on October 31st. Goblins, ghosts, and witches were running all around, but no one saw the little boy dressed up like a clown. His name is Michael Myers. He seemed like a sweet kid, but you won't think he's very nice when you learn what he did." And then it basically shows like, it's illustrated, like it shows him watching his sister and the boyfriend smooch in the window, and the kids are like running trick-or-treating, and then it shows him like grabbing a knife out of the thing. So it's like it doesn't hide the any kind of the gore or anything, but it's great because it's all in rhymes and everything, and it literally goes through the entire story of Halloween. It is just one of the coolest items I think I've owned. And like the Dr. Loomis is the funniest because he's like just a round, pill-headed looking man, and it's it's just so good. It has like all the characters in it, it literally is the telling of it in like rhyme like that. And it's funny, on the back it says, "The perfect treat for Halloween fans of almost all ages."
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
I want to see that.
I think you need to get a copy of that, Tim, and you can read that to the kids for every Halloween season. Maybe we can get like I can read it like when Halloween comes around. I'll read the whole book or something. We can add like sound effects or something. We'll do something fun. But yeah, so I highly recommend it. It's called The Story of Halloween. It's available on Amazon, and I think directly from the site of the publisher too. But just look it up. You can follow them on Instagram and social media, different social medias like Facebook. I think has a page, and Twitter as well, and gives you all the information on how to get it.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards 2021. So what we're going to do is kind of just run through who the nominees are. I think, Brian, I would like to save our picks for next week because I think they're taking entries up until the 15th. But we'll kind of save what our final picks are for next week because there's still a few of these that we all want to watch. But
right. I mean, we can give an estimated idea of what we like, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we'll just trade off categories here, Brian. Yeah. If you go to the second tab here on our little rundown, it's kind of got them a little bit more organized so you can see everything in one category. All right, so I'll start us off with Best Wide Release Movie, and the nominees were Freaky, Gretel and Hansel, The Hunt, The Invisible Man, and Underwater. So obviously I watched a couple of those this past week.
Yeah, that's tough. Wow.
That's a tough category. I would have to say, though, just my knee-jerk reaction, not having seen Freaky yet, this could change, would have to be The Invisible Man. I thought Leigh Whannell did a fantastic job adapting an old Universal classic to modern times. I thought that was really, really, really good. And I think that's the strongest movie up there.
Right, yeah, I think it's, for me, right now, without seeing, I haven't seen Freaky, Gretel and Hansel, or Underwater, but I should have those done by the time the voting comes. Between me, it would be The Hunt and Invisible Man, because I love both of those a lot. Hunt, I've seen probably like 30 times already. Invisible Man, I've seen a couple, so it's like, those two definitely are the leading ones. Now, could something like that, could they cancel each other out, though? Is the key.
Be, yeah.
And Freaky's getting a lot of things, and with these days, it could be something like, okay, Invisible Man, that's so long ago, I don't remember it, and then it could be a knock on it. So who knows? They'll see what the voters pick. But it's funny, Invisible Man was, I think, the last, one I can't talk about, but basically that was the, I guess really that was the last movie I had seen in a theater before.
Yeah, me too.
The pandemic.
Seems like years ago.
Yeah, I did get to see. I think I saw one other. I snuck one in under there, but I cannot discuss that yet. But yeah. So So that I think my gut is going to be between. I think right now it's going to be The Hunt and Invisible Man, but we'll see. I want to see the others. So. Next one is it's actually, to me, another tough category. A couple of these we've seen, a couple of those I'm going to see, and that's Best Limited Release Movie. First one is Color Out of Space, which is it's a huge one we're a fan of, with Nick Cage versus the alpaca, which is, automatically gets you right up at the top of a list. Dark and the Wicked, of course, which Tim just talked about. Possessor, which I just bought on Blu-ray a couple of weeks ago. I'm dying to see. Brandon Cronenberg's one, which gets a lot of things. And I think that could be I don't even want to say an underdog because a lot of people have been raving it so much. It's just some people haven't seen it. So, you wonder how, if it get there. There's the Relic and Wolf of Snow Hollow. So, again, there's a couple that I like, Relic and Wolf of Snow Hollow I want to try and see before, but the other two I will definitely see, Dark and the Wicked and Possessor before.
Yeah, I haven't seen, the only one I haven't seen is Possessor and Relic, and I definitely want to see both of those, and they're both highly acclaimed, so I can't say that either one of those wouldn't win, but it would be tough for me, a tough call between The Dark and the Wicked and Color Out of Space. I would probably give the edge to Color Out of Space just because I'm such a huge Lovecraft fan and such a big Nicolas Cage fan. I would have to, that'd be my sentimental pick, but
definitely. And I'm an alpaca fan, so yeah.
Yeah. The Wolf of Snow Hollow, that's the one I told you that Olivia really didn't like, and I was fairly mediocre on it, so I would definitely put that one at the bottom of my list, even not having seen Possessor or Relic yet. But we'll see how that one goes. Next up was Best First Feature, and I really can't say anything. I haven't seen any of these.
I've seen actually 3 of the 5, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. So you'll have to speak to this one, because I have no idea. We have Amulet, Come to Daddy, Dead Dicks, as Ferris Bueller would say. I know he says, "Do you have a kiss for daddy?"
Oh yeah, do you have a kiss for daddy?
Amulet, Come to Daddy, Dead Dicks, Extraordinary, and Sea Fever.
Yeah, so I've seen the ones I've seen on here: Amulet, Dead Dicks, and Sea Fever. The Amulet was we got sent a screener. That's it's the Imelda Staunton vehicle, which is pretty good. I mean, I would have expected it to be more popular. It's got to, it's one of those kind of like slow burns again, but I think it'll be up there. I really don't know what's gonna win this one because, like, they all seem kind of different for me. Like, Come to Daddy, that's the Elijah Wood vehicle. I think I want to see that one too. I think that's on Shudder, so that's easy to see before. Dead Dicks was the one we got sent the screener too, about the guy where he keeps replicating himself, and he has to die, kill himself when there's a big giant vagina in his wall that he comes out of. That one's definitely the oddest, I believe, of them all. Extraordinary, that's the Will. Is that the Will Forte one?
Yeah, that's Will Forte.
Yeah, and then Sea Fever actually was really good. That's the one I saw on about they're all on a submarine and they're getting infected by something. I watched that. That was the first movie I watched for this year's horror challenge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that one's really good. Actually, I really like that one. So it's a tough one. I don't know which one's going. I mean, this is gonna be one. It's like totally a toss up, I think. Next one is best streaming premiere movie. Now, I can actually say I've seen all of them in this category, and this may be this really may be the toughest category. So you have Anything for Jackson, which I absolutely loved, as we discussed. The Beach House, which we both loved.
Yep.
His House, which I just saw and I absolutely loved. Host, we already know how much we love that one. I probably think that's probably going to be it's going to be between Host and I think His House, in all honesty, which is not a knock on any of the other ones. Mortuary Collection, which we loved, and Run, which is I saw part of that Night Stream Film Festival, but now is on Hulu, which was really good. So yeah, that's probably the toughest category to me because I think any one of them is completely deserving to win. And I would not be disappointed if whatever won, because they were all really good movies. And there's some on there that I'm like, I think that there was one on there. I said, how did it not make it? And I was trying to think of what it was, and I couldn't. It was something on Shudder, obviously, because it seems Shudder has a lot of the best streaming horror. But I can't remember it. But there was another one on there. I was like, how is this not on there? But something's not gotta not be on there. So.
I think this category is going to be a popularity contest. I think more people have seen Host than any of these other movies combined, probably.
Probably, yeah.
So I think Host is probably going to just run away with it just because of name recognition.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. You know what it was? The two that I thought would be on there is Scare Me and Scare Package. Both did make it.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Which I'm really surprised because both of those were. Again, amazing movies. That's the tough. Okay. Let's be honest. Almost everything was kind of like a premiere streaming movie this year.
Yeah.
But for horror, that was even more so. And so I guess some things just you can't put everything on there. So, but yeah, those are two honorable mentions. I think Scare Package and Scare Me. That really I thought were could have been on there too. But
yeah, definitely. So the next category, I can't speak to. I actually have seen La Llorona. This is the best foreign language movie category. We had Bacurau, Blood Quantum, Impetigore, La Llorona, and Sputnik. All of those I want to see, but the only one I had seen was La Llorona, so I can't really speak as to which one.
That got a Golden Globe nomination, I heard.
Yeah. So I don't know. This one again is a toss up for me. I have no idea. I'll have to watch a few of these.
Yeah, I mean, Blood Quantum I'd seen. That was the one the zombie one that I was a little disappointed with from Shudder. But then again, I think it's like that was we had seen a bunch of zombie things right around it, so
yeah,
and it didn't have enough to me to like elevate it like to Train Busan level or One Cut of the Dead level or Anna and the Apocalypse level, stuff like that. So. But next one, best series. This is the one I think I'm going to have the most trouble of seeing, of being able to watch everything. So I'm probably just going to go with my gut, what I think on there. And there's Dracula from Netflix, of course, Haunting of Bly Manor, Hellstrom, Lovecraft Country, and What We Do in the Shadows. So I mean my favorite on here is right now, just because I haven't seen Lovecraft Country yet, is Bly Manor, but. So,
yeah, I've actually seen 4 of the 5 of these, and What We Do in the Shadows is a fantastic comedy. I mean, but to me, it's not really horror. It's vampires, but it's definitely straight up horror comedy. So, but as much as I love it, I thought Lovecraft Country was easily out of all of these, and I haven't seen Hellstrom, but Lovecraft Country to me was easily out of all of these the biggest achievement in a series. Yeah, it just looks beautiful. It was a fantastic adaptation. The moral lesson it provides is really good. I was a little let down by The Haunting of Bly Manor. It was just, I guess, a little bit too much of a romance for me than a horror series after Hill House. Dracula was an interesting series. It was entertaining, but definitely not in the running for the best series but in comparison to some of these others. So yeah, Lovecraft Country by a mile for me on this category.
Gotcha.
Next up, best lead performance. This is, again, these are going to be hard because they really just threw everybody in here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a crowded category, but I'll just read through them. We had Jeremy Gardner for After Midnight, Tamara Lawrence for Kindred, Elizabeth Moss for The Invisible Man, Marin Ireland for The Dark and the Wicked, Andrea Riseborough for Possessor, Emily Mortimer for Relic, Jim Cummings for The Wolf of Snow Hollow, Carla Jury for Amulet, Heston Horwin for Dead Dicks, Sophie Derisu for His House, Wunmi Mosaku for His House, Catherine Newton for Freaky, Alex Sakarunu for Amulet, sorry if I murdered that name, and Vince Vaughn for Freaky. Your guess is as good as mine. I would
This
throw
has
out...
got way too many. It's like almost too many people.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I would throw out Elizabeth Moss because I think she's incredible in anything she's in, so that would be probably my just throw it out there pick, but who knows? That's just I'm not sure why they went with that many for lead performance.
And listen, I'm all for not doing, actress, and the actor-actress thing. To me, actor, one term is fine. You don't need that whole thing. But this would have helped just in this category alone, just to help it, give you more options only. But yeah, like I said, the ones I can speak to, obviously Elizabeth Moss is incredible with everything, and I think she has not an outside chance, but I think she's got a really, because of the name recognition and how beloved she is from her fans, so she's got a good chance. But like I said, Jeremy Gardner from After Midnight was one of the keys why I think that movie works so well. So I'm, you're wondering what voters are gonna do. I mean, this may be I feel bad for the people who are gonna tabulate this. They literally could probably get almost for everybody the same amount of votes at some level. Like I said, the two leads from his house are great. That's obviously the two that I was discussing.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling just from the clips I saw that I'm gonna love Catherine Newton and Vince Vaughn. So when do you not love Vince Vaughn?
That's right.
So yeah, this is this category is not even fair because there's too many. How do you pick one? They should have said you're allowed to pick 3 or something.
Yeah, something to narrow it down.
Yeah, and so this at least is a little bit less, but again, it's equally a lot of names here, and that's best supporting performance. So you have Misha Overovich from Freaky, Vanessa Williams from Bad Hair, Julie Olivia Touchstone from The Dark and the Wicked, Robin Nevin from Relic, Stephen McHattie from Come to Daddy, Will Forte from Extraordinary, Clancy Brown from Mortuary Collection, which I gotta tell you is probably my emotional favorite, because we loved Clancy Brown and he was so perfect. If there's ever a perfect person for a role, I mean that was
so
it.
good.
Yeah, Udo Kier for Bacurau, Bria Grant for After Midnight, which another one I would have to say is well deserving. Xander Berkeley for The Dark and the Wicked, and Alice Krieg, which is another kind of a sentimental favorite.
She's so good in that movie. Too.
For Gretel and Hansel. So yeah, that's another hard. I think it's a little easier that category, but not by much.
No, that's going to be a tough one. Next up, we have Best Director. We have Brian Bertino for The Dark and the Wicked, Justin G. Dyke for Anything for Jackson, Romola Garai for Amulet, Natalie Erica James for Relic, Remy Weeks for His House, and Lee Winnell for The Invisible Man. Yeah, I have to go with I like Lee Winnell for The Invisible Man only because, again, I thought he did an incredible job taking a premise that is silly and ancient IP at this point from the 30s and somehow made what I thought was one of the best horror movies of last year. So that and because you just love him from being involved in the James Wan universe. So I just love that. So that's my sentimental favorite.
He's starting his own. He's starting the Wan L universe.
Exactly. But I will have to say, Brian Bertino did a fantastic job with The Dark and the Wicked.
Yeah, and then plus I again with Anything for Jackson was so good, but I gotta tell you I mean, not that I'm gonna give a full prediction or if it's even my pick yet. I personally think Remy Weeks for His House is going to win this one.
Nice.
But and I think you'll see why. It's so well done, that movie.
Yeah,
For a movie that could have come off poorly, it was obviously, you could tell when a movie is directed really well just by, the flow and the way everything goes and the way it's paced, and I think that's where he excelled. So, I mean, but then again, it's like I think this is gonna be one of those where you'll be happy if whoever wins, you won't say, oh really, why did that win?
Yeah.
So,
there's no bad. I don't think there's any bad nominees in any of these categories.
No, there really isn't. Next one is best screenplay. And that is Kleber Mendonca Fijo. Oh my god. Oh, I thought that was one name. It's two names. Let me go back.
Yeah.
Kleber Mendonca. Wait. Kleber Mendonca Fijo and Giuliano Dornelis for Bacurau. Toby Harvard for Come to Daddy, which now we have to say it that way all the time.
You have to say it that way.
Michael Kennedy, Christopher Landon for Freaky. Remy Weeks for His House, and Lee Wanell for The Invisible Man. I think like Lee Wanell and Remy Weeks are going to be fighting.
Yeah, that's going to be like
in
the two.
each of these categories. Those two are going to like be, like virtual fisticuffs, I think.
Next up, we had Best Score. This one is one I always struggle with because as much as I like film scores, they have to really, really stand out for me to really notice them. At least, definitely on the first run through a movie. So whenever I see this, I'm like, I could not tell you to save my life what the Gretel and Hansel score was like. I have no idea. But we'll go with...
And it's just by Rob.
Yeah, just by Rob. So the best score, we had Christopher Young, Lustmord for The Empty Man, Rob for Gretel and Hansel. It's just Rob.
That's what it said. That's what I got.
Tom Schrader for The Dark and the Wicked, Jim Williams for Possessor. And
is that John Williams' like son or something?
Yeah, maybe. And I don't know if that's Roke or Rocky or
I think it's Roke.
Roke Banos for His House. Yeah, again, I'm sorry. As much as I love
think you
film
need to
scores,
watch His House this weekend though. I think that'll clear up a lot of your things because the score was good for that too. I thought,
but I'm just embarrassed that as such a lover of film scores that I could not tell you which of these were really good or not. I just wasn't paying attention. I was watching the movie.
No, but I think you said it though. If it was good enough to get your attention, then that's how you know. I mean, maybe they just weren't not gonna knock on it, but maybe they weren't up to the Tim. You have dulcet tones, so you probably hear better than everyone too. It's like a trade off. It's like you spew out those perfect dulcet tones, so you also bring in.
Yes.
I think it registers in the same way. So
yeah, like the last one, like the last horror score that really, like I set up and noticed was The Witch. Like that one really it captured my attention, and I was thinking about it throughout the movie how good the score was. That's very, very rare. I mean, it's very rare for me to do that in a movie unless I kind of know beforehand who the composer is and I'm familiar with their work, maybe. Something like that. Sometimes it'll catch my attention, but typically it's a pretty rare thing.
That's a damn rare thing these days. Next is best makeup effects, and that's by it's Alterian Studios for Freaky, Amalgamated Dynamics for the Mortuary Collection. What is it? It's a conglomerates now. It's like not even like a person.
Vandelay Industries.
Yeah, that's the next one. No, Liz Byrne for Gretel and Hansel, Paul Jones for Random Acts of Violence, and Dan Martin for Possessor. When I saw Dan Martin, I almost read it as Dean Martin, and then I could think of Back to School member. You're like, exactly, Dean Martin, So, yeah, so that's a good category. I mean, I don't know which one will win. I have to see Gretel and Hansel, but I know Random Acts of Violence had a lot of good makeup effects on it because a lot of the gore sequences. And there was elaborate set pieces with gore. So that would not be surprising.
So next up, we have Best Creature Effects. And coming in first is Jim Henson Studios for Come Play, David Marty and Monsi Ribe for His House. I'm totally screwing their names up. I'm sorry. Dan Martin for Color Out of Space, Eric Porn, which I'm sorry, that's an unfortunate name.
That is the best. I think it's the best name. Are you kidding?
Well, it could be the best name. Yeah, maybe that is a cool name. And Cliff Wallace for Amulet. This one is going to be very hard for me because I've only seen one of these movies that was Color Out of Space, so I'm going to give it to Dan Martin by default.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch a few more of these.
Well, I saw His House. There's some good stuff in there. So you might if you see when you see that, you may lean your way. And actually, Amulet had a decent some creature effects. So you might if you get to see those, I'm sure definitely try and see His House before you vote, though.
Okay,
Just kind of give it
a that's got to be
fair
next on my list for sure.
I think you need to get to see that one. It's only an hour and a half, so it's you can definitely fit that one in. The final main category here is achievement in nonfiction, and talk about a tough category. I know we've said this a couple times, but this one is like it's almost like, oh God, it doesn't even matter. Like it's like they're all so good, and so. What this one is, this is like either a documentary or like a live show kind of a thing, like a syndicated. Yeah, not syndicated is not the right word. The weekly show. So that one is the first one is Blood and Flesh: The Real Life and Ghastly Death of Al Adamson. That's a Tim favorite. Another Tim favorite here, the Boulet Brothers: Dragula Resurrection. Which I still need to see both these two things. Cursed Films, which was good. Now I'm surprised. Oh, no, Horror Noir was the year before. That's right. Okay, I was like, I'm surprised Cursed Films beat Horror Noir, but I forgot Horror Noir was previous. Cursed Films, that was a great series. I mean, it wasn't... It's funny. It's like, I know we criticized it slightly because it didn't have exactly what we thought to it, but it's still a good series, and I wouldn't mind if they did a second season of that somehow.
Which I think they are.
Oh, they are?
If I recall. Yeah, I think they announced they were doing a second series.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's just there's so many movies that they claim to have that. Tend to be cursed. So next one, of course, is probably our sentimental favorite here, and that's even though we disagreed with him on Haunt, The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. I mean, I don't know. I almost think that has to win just for what it's done for Shudder and what it's done for the horror fans and the community, and how many people have now come together due to that show being back on the air. And some other movies that also the impact it had. I mean, think of how many movies now that you probably didn't ever think you were going to watch anytime soon, but because Joe Bob showed it, they've now become on your like, some of your favorites, or you're so glad you saw it kind of a thing. But
that one's hard because I mean, there's hours and hours and hours of Joe Bob that you could point to, whereas these documentaries are a little one and a half hour, 2 hour top. So it's kind of a little bit unfair in that respect. So I'm gonna after you're finished, Brian, I'm gonna go back and let's look at it without Joe Bob in the mix and see what we think of. Which one would win?
The final two were Leap of Faith, William Friedkin on The Exorcist, and Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street, which I had seen. I absolutely loved. I thought that was a very emotional and empowering documentary. To see how Mark Patton dealt with his life through Hollywood with all this stuff going on, and I thought he did a great job. It was very brave of him to come in and do that film, so it was really cool. Shudder, it's on Shudder now, so you can see. We got the screener of that a while ago before it came out, and that's a really good one. So that would be probably my next pick if Joe Bob was out of the equation. I don't know. How about you? And actually, real quick, you know which one should be on there, and it's not? Think In Search of Darkness Part 2. Why is that one not on here? I don't know.
I don't know the criteria for when the cutoff was for these.
True. It could be, but I don't know. Was the first one on there for last year? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I have to look because I mean, if they talk about a horror documentary, those both versions of that are just absolutely incredible and some of the best documentaries you'll ever see. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that criteria is per se, but I mean, like I said, Fangoria is great, but they're not perfect with some of their choices. I think they left out a lot. But and one specifically, I don't know. I don't think I said this, but why was Betty Gilpin not up for best lead performance in here? Why was she not? Maybe because it's listed supporting.
That's weird. Especially when you're going to put 20 people in the best lead performance category and leave her out. I don't know. I guess nobody's ever going to be happy. No,
but she was so. She's one of the reasons that made Hunt so good. And even in all honesty, Hilary Swank was great in that too. So it's never perfect. Awards never are. There's always someone going to feel left out. But so
I would agree with you though on Scream Queen. The Leap of Faith was really good, unexpectedly good, but it is just William Friedkin talking. So as a documentary goes, it's not like while the documentary itself is fantastic and it's riveting, it really is. It's not like it was breaking a whole lot of new ground for documentaries. The cursed films we said were good, but there were some problems. I mean, we even pointed that out when we first saw the show. Some were a little more easy to believe than others, and they kind of went off in some weird tangents with some of them. The Boulet Brothers is a great show, but it's still just a reality show.
Yeah.
I don't mean that to degrade it, because it's a really good one, and I thoroughly have enjoyed every episode I've watched of it. But to me, it just doesn't quite fit in the same category with these other ones.
Right.
And Blood and Flesh was fantastic. That was a fantastic documentary. But again, it's one of those that Scream Queen just had such a great message behind it.
Right.
It just felt, I always think the best documentaries teach us something, and make us think about something in a new way, and that's what that documentary did for me. So I as much as I love Blood and Flesh, and as much as I learned about Al Adamson and how entertaining that was, I thought Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street was a much more powerful, more moving documentary.
Right, yeah, and I think you need to really everyone needs to see that. I think whether you're a fan of Nightmare on Elm Street or not, or just want to see a great human empowerment story. I mean, it's a great documentary. It's done so well. The final thing is on there, I guess, is the write-in vote for best kill. Now, we've already gone on record, and this is a bit of a spoiler if you haven't yet seen it. I know my number one pick, of course, for best kill. I don't know if it's still yours the same way too, and that is, of course, Samantha Loxley's hammer kill in Hosts.
Yeah,
because that thing, I'll
down.
tell you, oh my god, and the fact that Fangoria did a little thing on best kills in the latest issue and did not include that, I just don't get it. I mean, some of the ones it's funny they some of the other ones they included, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it, but like, how do you leave that one out? That was one of these ones that even though you kind of see something coming, you don't expect it to the way that is. And actually, that's funny. The second one I would think that's right up there is actually ironically Host. And the one in the Caroline kill, where she.
Yeah, I would put that one up there too.
Because that one is so that's like one of the first really like jarring moments in that movie, and it's so well done because you don't know exactly what's going on. And it's like it's kind of a bit of a jump scare, kind of a bit of a, for lack of a better term, no pun intended, in your face kind of a moment. So it's kind of funny that those two films were going to be so linked, and not just in name, but
yeah.
But yeah. So those are the two that come right into my mind that I have to say. I mean, there's also that one. It's funny though, a couple of ones that. I had those two in my head the whole time, but anything for Jackson had a couple too, that were kind of.
Oh yeah, it did have some good ones.
And now actually, Dark and the Wicked, which we might as well let people know. So we had to stop in the middle of this episode due to some I don't know, technical difficulties is the right word, just some interruptions that had to be dealt with. So. Anyway, so actually, in between that time period, I actually got to see Dark and the Wicked, and oh my god, I absolutely love it. It was amazing, and that actually had a pretty impressive kill in that too. So, but yeah, I still think that my two favorites, if I had to pick, are the Caroline kill from Host and Samantha Loxley's hammer kill from Hosts. With an S.
Yeah, I think we're in total lockstep on those. Those would be my write-ins all day long, which they will be written in because I am going to submit my votes. So, well, I guess that's it for the Chainsaw Awards. We're next week we'll lock in our votes. Yes. We won't spend as much time on each one as we've already talked about them, but we'll lock in our final votes and we'll see how it goes. They haven't announced when the results will be released, although I think they're taking votes up until one more week as we're recording this, so maybe the 15th, mid-February, I think, is when they're taking
I think
votes,
I remember one year they did it. They released remember they did the while the Oscars were going on, they were actually
that's right. Yeah,
I wonder if they'll do the same. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. All right, guys, so let's turn our attention to the featured film this week. We are doing this one in honor of our good fan buddy David Terry's upcoming birthday.
Yes, which is the 12th, the same day as Joe Bob's Valentine thing. So he was very excited that he's kind of getting a thing, like a cool Joe Bob thing for his birthday. But we also decided we wanted to do something a little special for him too. So we picked a movie he's been dying, of course, to have us watch, which I had actually seen, but not in a while. So it was kind of good to revisit it, and in honor of him. And that is All Cheerleaders Die.
Directed by Lucky McKee and Chris Silverstein, starring Sydney Allison as Taylor, Brooke Butler as Tracy Bingham, Amanda Grace Benitez as Hannah Popkin.
I know, that's kind of cool.
Rhiannon Johannick as Martha Popkin, Sanoa Smith McPhee as Lena Miller, Caitlin Stacy as Maddie Killian, and Tom Williamson as Terry Stankus.
And boy, he was a Stankus in this. He was a very unsavory character.
The synopsis is a rebel girl signs up a group of cheerleaders to help her take down the captain of their high school football team, but a supernatural turn of events thrusts the girls into a different battle.
Yeah, I will say that description, while somewhat accurate, is also doesn't really quite do the film justice, because I will say there's a lot going on in this movie, and I'm not sure now. I've seen it twice. And I'm still not completely sure of how the whole premise works in this. I mean, there's a whole thing with magic crystals going on, and I still don't think I quite get the rules.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
So this one, I'm with all apologies to David Terry. This one, I can't say that I loved, but that's okay. We don't all agree on the same films, because he didn't like Trick or Treat as much as Brian and I did. But that's okay. But there was a lot of things I did like about the movie.
I thought Brooke Butler was amazing. Her character was so good. She was so good in this. And I had seen her in that other movie, The Remains, with the horror challenge 2 years back. So that's why I went and saw this after, because I liked her in that. And I thought she was, again, really good in this. And also the one that played Maddie, I thought was really good. The younger sister that was in there. She was really good. So the cast itself was really good for this. I thought they had a really good ensemble.
Yeah, this one's kind of a strange movie because it's a remake of Lucky McKee's first attempt at this film was back in 2001, I want to say.
Something like that. Yeah, and they said that's almost nearly impossible to find.
Yeah, so it went direct to video, and so he decided to remake it after finding out that the original release was so hard to find. And so he made this newer version, which is the version most people know, because it's the one that's actually more readily available. It's on Shudder and everything. But this one's unique because it's a 2013 film, but it does feel very heavily like a late 90s teen horror. I don't want to say comedy, but teen horror movie. I mean, it kind of has that same. Would you agree, Brian? It kind of has that same feel as a I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It very has that strong vibe, and it's kind of interesting because it's a more modern movie. It's not that old, and but yet it still feels very, very, to me, felt very 90s. Not because of the way where it's set or anything. It just has that kind of vibe to it. And one thing that kind of threw me off like really early on was it kind of has this vibe, but then it has some scenes that are kind of like straight up shocking,
right? That
come out of nowhere, which are almost like a different tone to the movie. And that was one of the first things that kind of surprised me. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It actually was kind of interesting to me to kind of be going along and thinking you kind of know how this is all going to play out, and then you have like these sudden, like abrupt, really dark changes in tone.
Yeah, like first you're like, oh, it's like a horror Bring It On or something. It's like, yeah, cheerleaders, you got this. Oh, you got like now they want to take down the cheerleaders, so it's going to be like one of those type of movies. But then it gets like super dark at one point, and there's some dark, serious scenes in it that you don't quite, like Tim was saying, you don't quite expect based off of the earlier tone of the film. And there is, there's one of those gruesome. I tell you, it's like, as Tim, now you as a parent of especially of a daughter that, like, who knows if she decides to go into cheerleading or gymnastics or something. Between this and the Final Destination, where you see these like injuries during the cheerleading and gymnastics thing, it's like this has got to give parents nightmares. Like these kind of
Yeah.
things. It's like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, if I ever have kids, I don't know if I could ever let them do gymnastics or cheerleading.
Well, my daughter she was in gymnastics for years.
Oh, right.
So
That's right.
so it was yeah, it did worry me, and she really liked parallel bars too, which is also like
Yeah.
one of the most dangerous things you can do, because you fall off of that thing and land on your neck wrong and you're
Yeah.
paralyzed for life. So yeah, that is definitely scary. And what, one of the characters mentions that cheerleading is one of the most dangerous high school sports, which is totally true.
Right.
I mean, it really
Yeah.
is. So yeah, that does worry me. Although Anna's she's gotten out of gymnastics. When COVID hit, she was just kind of done. She was getting to that point anyway. So I don't really see her going back to that.
Now she's more into horror
cheerleading.
movies anyway, so now she'll want to like start creating scenes from it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Than do them. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one was interesting. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I thought the plot of this one was all over the place. I never really knew where this thing was trying to go. As soon as I thought I kind of had a handle on what it was doing, it kind of veered off in another direction. And I don't know. I might have to watch it again. I only watched it once because I was so pressed on time because work's been so crazy this week. So unfortunately, I only got to watch it once. Maybe another viewing would help me a little bit. But just on first glance, I had no clue where this movie was going. It was all over the place. At one point, it was almost like a Riverdale-esque, high school drama type thing, and then it would turn into something like The Craft, and then it would turn into something. Then we had magic crystals going everywhere, and then it would get super dark, and I was like, I don't know.
I know.
What
I thought it was like Thanos was
on.
going to come in when those crystals started moving around and we're all different.
Yeah,
I'm
they
like,
did
oh my
look
God,
like
is there an
Thanos.
Infinity Gauntlet going to appear here now?
But like you said, the performances were really good. There were some really good scenes in here. It was just, to me, the biggest flaw in the movie was definitely not the cast. It definitely wasn't necessarily the premise. It was that I kind of wish the script had been a little tighter and I knew exactly where it was going. And the movie ends on a kind of an abrupt cliffhanger too, and kind of insinuates that there's going to be a sequel that we've never gotten.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there are any plans to give it. So that was another kind of a turnoff for me.
Yeah, I
was
couldn't
like,
find
okay.
anything on it either. I looked up a sequel
Yeah.
and there was nothing ever written about it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this just didn't do well enough for them to even consider it. But yeah, it was weird because it was you're right. It did like kind of end suddenly. And then you're like, okay, so nothing else and that's it. And then we didn't get a sequel.
Here's one thing that bugged me, and maybe you having watched it more than once, Brian, and this is just based on a first pass through, is like these girls through these crystals, and we're not going plot by plot through the thing, but these crystals give them each some kind of power, essentially, and I don't felt like they never really went anywhere, because by the time all this happens, a good portion of the movie's already over.
Right.
So this comes in like really late in the movie, and I never felt like the particular powers made much sense. Like there was one girl that apparently can bring things back to life.
Yeah,
But
I think that
I
was
don't know
which crystal
where-
they got. But you're right. I don't think they
Yeah.
established those rules clear enough.
Right. So I didn't really know. Now, if you had done this like early on in the movie, you established, okay, this is going to be about a movie where these crystals each give these girls supernatural powers, and that's how they're going to take revenge. That would be fine. I'd be totally cool with that. And establish that like really early on in the movie, like in the first half hour, the girls have got their powers. We know what each crystal does, and now we're going to see them exacting revenge according to their crystal. That would make more sense to me. But this coming so late in the movie, and then like they would show examples of these powers and then just do nothing with them, and I was like, I don't understand. Like, what am I watching here? I got confused there.
Yeah, and there was a sequence actually where they almost like even rushed where you thought you were getting an explanation. Like, so apparently they're all linked together now. So if one of the cheerleaders does something, all the others feel it. And in this case, they have it where one of them decides to have sex and the others all start to orgasm at the same time randomly. And then in the same time, one of the other cheerleaders is killing somebody. So then they all get like, that something else happens. I forgot. And then so I remember they're like, they're all freaking out, and then the one girl says, "Yeah, someone had sex, someone died." End of story. And that was it. I'm like, what? No, end of story. Which crystal did that? Which crystal did what? I want to know. It's like.
And then you have this weird body swap thing where two of the girls swap bodies.
Yeah, the sisters. Well, because that was because when the blood, I think, leaked. It was like that scene where the crystals went in. They went into the wrong body, I guess, is what I took.
Yeah.
But again, it's like it's not 100% clear how these things are. But see, I think this was written. In all honesty, I think this was written with the intention of the other, further movies. So I think, which always is a bad thing. I think you have to write no matter what, even if you have plans for like 10 of these things. You always got to write one movie as if it's going to need to stand on its own. And I feel like that wasn't done with this. So that's where I think some of the loose ends kind of happened.
Because I love the premises. I like this body swap thing. I like the person that can bring people back to life.
Yeah.
I liked all of that stuff was cool on its own. It's just that they never had a chance to go anywhere with it because the movie was over before you even wrapped your brain around what was happening. So, I guess I think a second or third watch maybe for me would make me enjoy it more because now that I already know these powers and the crystals and everything, and I already have that knowledge beforehand. Now when I watch it, I think I could kind of relax a little more.
Yeah.
And kind of just take it all in. But I'm just saying from a first viewing, it was really tough for me to follow.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, and the thing is, I enjoyed it. That's the thing. Even with all these little problems it had, it still was an enjoyable film, and I think it's because of the performances. I think some were over the top where they needed to be, some were like at the right level. So I think that can sometimes make a movie still enjoyable that still has a lot of issues.
Yeah, I was never bored with it.
Right? No, it's not never boring. It moves at a good clip too, but it's just like the problem.
And I like Lucky McKee's films.
Yeah,
I like him as a
his
director,
stuff is
so
good.
that was also a positive.
Yeah, no, and like I said, like Brooke Butler, I really like her performance too because I saw she was good in that movie, The Remains, and then to follow it up with this was really good too because she just has that like, I don't know, it's like something about like when she plays like that teen girl really well, that kind of like that role, and she just does it really good. Where she could kind of be moody, but still, and then like friendly in one thing, but then a badass in another. So she's got like a good mix of the way she does that.
Yeah, they really need to make it'd be hard though. It'd be super hard to make a sequel now because the way they ended it, you kind of needed it to pick up like really shortly after they left off. But now it's been 8 years, and everybody's aged. So how do you make a sequel now with the same characters? It would be tough.
Yeah, it would be.
You almost had to film these back to back.
Yeah, I'd almost think you'd need to make a third attempt at this one and then do them all at once or something like that. You almost see this almost kind of as like you could almost see it as a series. In all honesty, like
you could. This would be a great TV series.
Yeah, keep up the whole mythology and.
Yeah, this would be a great TV series.
So,
I think that would be. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, but that's not to say I didn't enjoy it. Like I thought it was an entertaining movie. I liked a lot. I like those type of movies. Me and Olivia watch Riverdale. We watch all those teen dramas and stuff. I like all that stuff. So there was nothing about it that I didn't appeal to me. It's just that I thought the script was kind of a little bit all over the place, and probably like you said because they had planned for future installments, it just never occurred.
Yeah.
So let's go through some of the trivia here. We already talked about this. Lucky McKee remade the film. The character Tracy Bingham shares the name of actress Tracy Bingham, famous for being the first female African American regular on Baywatch, which I used to watch all the time.
I know, and it did like when I watched it until I read the trivia, I'm like, oh my god, that's where I heard that name from. Like it didn't dawn on me what it was. But so it says next one is one of the locations for the filming of All Cheerleaders Die was Cathedral High School at 1253 Bishops Road near Chinatown in Los Angeles, California. This school was founded in 1925 and is located on what the old Cavalry Cemetery prior to 1900. This high school was designated Los Angeles Historical Cultural Monument 281 in 1984. Its athletes are nicknamed the Phantoms because the high school's location on top of a cemetery. So that's kind of a cool,
cool
premise there. That's a good place to film a horror movie, I guess.
Yeah. Last one here is Shanoa Smith McPhee and Caitlin Stacy previously appeared together in Neighbors, playing friends Bree and Rachel, respectively. So they appeared together before. That was cool. All right. So, Brian, what was our beer pairing for All Cheerleaders Die?
So I found one, and this definitely fits well, I think. It's called Crystals, and it's from Good Fire Brewing Company out of Portland, Maine. Pretty much Portland, Maine. You can like turn in any kind of direction, and you'll hit like 17 breweries. Anyway, this one seems like a pretty strong one too. It's 7.8%. And it's a Galaxy Double IPA. So it says this double IPA was brewed with massive amounts of Galaxy, Eldorado, and Ella. So I guess that's a type of hop, too. I've never heard of that one, though. First two, of course, I have. Finished off with another huge dose of Galaxy in the dry hop. This resinous hop bomb explodes with tropical fruit, fresh-cut grass, and citrus pith. I mean, anytime you get to say pith is good. I like pith. It says it's the stickiest of the icky, which sounds like totally something one of these characters would say in this movie. Don't you think? Like a cheerleader would say, like, it's the stickiest of the icky. Yeah, so.
This sounds like Olivia's worst nightmare. She does not like hoppiness in a beer at all.
Oh, yeah.
She's not an IPA fan at all.
No, I know she's a big stout person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And she likes her, wheat ales and stuff that's a little lighter on the palate kind of stuff. Yeah. She likes, pale ales are good, but yeah, when it gets into IPA, she gets really kind of she just can't get used to that hop taste.
I will say Julie had her drinking clapback that night, so maybe you just need the right IPA.
Yeah, or you just need them after she's had several of the other.
That's true.
Beers.
Yeah, but that night there was a lot of we were drinking a lot that weekend.
Yes. All right, well, let's get to our triple threat from last week. We were looking for an actress, and I mentioned it was one of my favorite actresses, and that is Florence Pugh. Clue number one, some people think I turned the page in my career when I started on a 2019 biopic. Florence starred as WWE superstar Paige in 2019's Fighting with My Family.
Which I love that movie. I've watched that so many times. It's always, especially it's on
I haven't
cable
seen
now.
That one,
oh my God, you got to watch it, Tim. It's really good. You don't even have to be a fan of WWE, I think, to just enjoy it. And Vince Vaughn is really good in it.
Oh, it's got Vince Vaughn.
Yeah. No, it's got a great cast in it actually, and so it's really it's. The Rock, plays, of course, The Rock in it, too. And every bit line he's in is pretty much hilarious. So he's, like, so good in all his spots. So.
Clue number two, I am soon to be officially part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I was very excited for. Florence will star as Yelena Belova in Black Widow movie, along with the upcoming Hawkeye series. And clue number three, in two of my 2019 films, I wore an unusual piece of headwear. So in Midsummer and Little Women, Florence's characters both wore flower crowns. Yeah. So that was our kind of a unique clue there. I like that one. My brother saw Midsummer finally.
Oh, what do you think?
And he really liked it, but I told him, you didn't like it as much as I did. But what Kevin really pointed out was Florence Pugh's performance.
Oh,
and
my God,
he was like, he said, I really like this movie, but I don't think it would have been. I would have liked it as much with a different actress.
Didn't I say that? I think I almost said those exact words.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He was almost exactly what you said. He said she really made that movie, and I have to agree. So yeah, this week we are looking for an actor or actress. I will be very disappointed if you guys don't get this. Yeah,
this one.
Very,
now
very
I will say I had to really scrounge to get some clues to throw people off on this one. But I think I did a decent job, actually. Because some of these clues are not really that easy to...
I think... Yeah, this one... Yeah, you had to come up with some tricky clues because this is a well-known actor or actress.
Yeah, very well.
All right, so clue number one. My professional name was inspired by a Marvel Comics superhero. Clue number two. One of my sons is named after a role that I was extremely close to playing. Clue number three. I already have a tomb waiting for me to be buried in once I pass away. That's a hard clue right there. Jeez.
It is. But I got to tell you, though, it's like, I'm sure, like, they're very unique clues, and they're probably, if you do a little research, can probably... catch them but yeah, I think a lot of people will get this one. I think once they kind of just focus, I think a little bit. You just need to focus a drop, and I think you'll get this one.
Yeah. All right, so it's time for another fan topic listener question from our good buddy David McKee, the horror mailman. What is your rarest roller coaster credit? And Brian, I'm gonna let you take this one first.
Okay, well, I have a couple. And see, I think what defines a rare credit is, to me, is, I mean, obviously one that like is hard to obtain in terms of, for various reasons. Either one, where it's geographically located; two, if it only had a short lifespan, or just three, if it was a ride that just I don't know, for whatever reason, like didn't operate well enough, and it's always it could be one of those ones that seem to break down every time you're at the park. But the one, I think one of them, the first one I'll say, and that is one, Tim, that you and I share, and that is Pteranodon Flyers.
That's gonna be my. I'll go ahead and tell you that was mine, because unlike Brian, I've not ridden a lot of coasters. As much as I got into the hobby full force back in 2014, I mean, I've only been in the hobby for 5-6 years now. Last year don't even count because I didn't even get to ride a roller coaster, so I don't have a big coaster count. I think my coaster count is like 100, a little bit over 100. So it's hard for me to say I have a lot of rare
clip though. You got from 0 to 100 like a Ferrari,
But so I don't have a lot of like what I would consider rare roller coaster credits. So this one Brian's about to talk about is probably definitely my rarest, because I don't think Dan has this one yet.
Believe it or not, I
still don't think he has it.
Yeah, and that's the reason why, is because this is a ride. One, it's got an extremely long line and a very small capacity output. It's a ride.
This is at Universal Studios, Florida.
Yes, at Island of Adventure. It's in the Jurassic Park section. And another reason is you cannot ride it if you're an adult unless you have a child with you. And so,
they literally have bouncers at the front of the line that will kick you out if you do not have a child.
Yeah, we saw people actually get kicked out. And we were lucky enough to get it because Tim's got kids. So I borrowed Joshua.
So, even better, I have two kids.
Yes,
so
he got two.
Split them.
So he could lend one to me. So I borrowed Joshua, and Tim took Anna, and we rode the Pteranodon Flyers. And it is really, I mean, as roller coasters go, probably as tame as you can get, except you are pretty high up. So if you're not, any kind of height issue you might have, I mean, what are you, like 60 feet up? But still, you're up high and you're dangling on a skinny little like car. But the kids seem to like it. But it's really short ride too. I think it's like less than a minute. Too.
Yeah.
But
I mean, for what it is, for a kid's ride, it's really cool. I mean, because most kid rides don't go that high.
Yeah.
And so it was really neat, but the throughput on this thing is horrendous.
We got lucky. We hit it right at the right time, because remember, like that was a one ride that's not even on the Express Pass thing. You can't even cheat your way.
But you can there's only 2 people per car,
right?
Or whatever.
I think
there's
like 6 cars too.
There's like 6 cars. So, I mean, throughput on this thing per hour is like probably just ridiculously low. Now, I will give the operators credit. Those guys were knocking it out. They were going as fast as they humanly could to get people on that ride. But so you got a combination of a ride that you have to have a kid, which some parks are more strict than others. I've never seen one this strict.
Right. Well, and some parks will, like on Ace days or like Coaster Club days, they will allow you to. Like, I know that's the only way as an adult you can get on the Playland Kiddie Coaster. Even with a child, no adults are allowed on it. And that's actually how I got one of my other ones at Lake Compounce, their kiddie coaster. I think that's one of those ones they don't let you. You have to be below a certain height, but we were there on Ace Day, and that's the one, by the way, speaking of Dan, that's the one where we have that picture of him on that little coaster and he's pretending to scream.
Oh, yeah.
We nicknamed it Fury 7. That was the one, because it's like literally like, now I am not what you call tall in any way. And I have to duck to get under the track on the queue line, because you walk under, the queue line goes under, and that's how like made for kids this is. I actually had to duck under to get, because that's how short, like how low off the ground this ride actually goes. But so those two are my rarest. I mean, I kind of put on Batman and Robin the Chiller at Great Adventure, because the ride only lasted a couple of years, and at one point the Batman section they gave up on it and only ran the Robin side, so because it had 2 sides. So I consider that one one of my rarer credits, just because I think it only like the first whole year of its operation never opened. Basically, I think it opened like for like a week and then shut down the whole year or something like that. Then it finally opened the next year, and I say it was like, it ran decent that year, but then by the next year, like, they were running one side only. They couldn't run them both together. So it was a disaster of epic proportions in terms of that ride. And it was such a cool premise too. The ride, it was neat because they it was a shuttle coaster, and they each had completely different tracks. And it was just, it never could, it was one of those things where it's more ambitious, I guess, than the technology at the time could muster. So, like, I remember towards the end, it was literally just Robin running, and Batman sat there entangled in it. I think that's really it. I mean, you want to count something like the High Roller Stratosphere, because, that was there a while ago. It's just something that sometimes, any of those rides at those casinos, sometimes just decided not to operate. Another one I like to consider is Roller Soaker at Hershey Park, which was such a cool concept, except, again, it was one of those ones that, like, you could have a really long wait, and it only lasted a few years there. Do you remember that one at all? What that was like?
No, I don't. I've never been to Hershey.
Oh, okay. So the Roller Soaker was just a basic little, like, suspended coaster that kind of went around, but the gimmick is that each car contained 2 like 5-gallon things of water that you could release on the people down below. So, and what was so think about the capacity of that though. It's like you had to appear back in the station, you had to slowly unload passengers while also filling it up with water, right? But then to make it even better, as you went over the path, they had, like, how like the log flumes will have those water cannons? Well, this thing had water cannons all over the place. So literally, people were shooting at you while you were on this ride the entire length of this track, really. And then I think there was some other spritzers that you would go through. I remember I got off this. I literally had to take my shirt off and wring it out. It was so drenched.
Oh my gosh.
There's a picture of me. I got to dig it up where I'm, like, sitting there posing after wringing my shirt out because it was so wet. But it was fun because it was so unique. But it is somewhat of a rare credit because I don't think it was around for very long. And again, a lot of people just probably didn't feel like waiting online for it. But really, that's it.
Wet,
I mean, at one point, Lightning Rod was a really rare credit, but now it seems to be operating much better. So that's not as rare anymore.
I've got to get to Dollywood. I want to take the kids so bad.
I just want to get back there. I love that whole town. I love the whole area around it. And plus, just anything to support Dolly is big in my book because she's the best. So.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we will see you back here next week. I don't know what movie we're going to do.
Yes,
but
we're
thinking about it.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't know yet. But we appreciate your support, appreciate your letters, and we will continue to go through Civil Gore Season 5, A New Beginning.
Yes, and of course, an extra special super size happy birthday to David Terry because he's been such a loyal listener and friend of the show, and just we love his emails, and he's just we've become such a good have such a good friendship with him back and forth based on on just our correspondence with him, and so he deserves a great shout out, and that's why we wanted to do this in honor of his birthday, this movie. So
that's right, happy birthday, and we'll see you guys here back next week.